Hey everyone, hopefully having a good day. My name's Andy, channel's Finding Value. Today we're going to go through our daily technical analysis, updated commodities, work our way through the dollar, yields, precious metals, and commodities ETFs that I follow. I'll interject my financial opinions as we go through it together. And if you need help with anything, check out finding-value.com. That's where I dive deeper into all of these areas, topics, and subjects, looking for potential investment opportunities out there in the market and sharing that with everyone in the community. We do have a question and answer session coming up this weekend at 7 a.m. Mountain Time on Saturday. So if you're interested in joining, go ahead and join and ask whatever questions you like, or if you're already a member, you can send me questions. We will be going over some things that somebody sent me for some questions. So we'll cover those questions there and maybe dive a little bit into some of the companies that look pretty good. So let's dive in there. Let's take a look, see what's going on today. We're going to start with the dollar, and the dollar continues its climb higher. This movement going on up is being driven by yields on the long end of the curve. So stronger, 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 and that is going to have impacts on emerging markets, on commodities, on gold and silver, perhaps. It's that strength in the dollar that is basically a wrecking ball for anything that's priced in dollars as this goes up. The 2-year yield is down 1%, but it's still in an uptrend. But today it did buck the trend because it's down 1% while the long end of the curve is up. So now the big question is this going to is this going to roll over? Is it going to fall back over here and come back to this area of where we broke out on the longer term? There's the big long-term, big picture view. We are sitting underneath this resistance support line, support coming down, which broke. Now it's resistance going back up, and are we going to roll back over? I don't know. We'll continue to monitor it here on the daily, but the momentum is still up, even though we had a down day. The long end of the curve was up 1.15 and is breaking out of this downtrend. This looks very strong to continue higher, and I'd say right about here, 4.6, 4.7%. If we close above that, we're basically creating a new high. We've created a new high here. So we came on up, came back, broke through that. That's kind of the first step. We also broke through this trend line here. And then the next one, to break through that level there, that resistance level. And then the 30-year is doing the same thing. It's breaking out. We broke through this resistance level. So we've got a new high here. And we could go higher. That's what it looks like to me. Everything looks good. And, there is also the possibility that we get a return move on top of this. I mean, that is still possible as well. TYX, TNX ratio, not much movement here. And we've just been stuck in inverted land down here. It does look like it wants to head a little bit lower here, looking at it on the weekly perspective. It's an inverted flag pattern where we could head back and basically reinvert way down there to some degree and stay inverted. So that's what we're seeing in the charts there. Bond prices selling off because as interest rates go up, bond prices sell off. And this looks pretty nasty. You had support here, and we blew through that. There's a possibility that we do come up and do a retest and then roll back over. So we'll watch it here together as this thing heads lower and lower for bond prices. Yields up, prices down. The 2 and 10 down 2%. This is not looking good either. Now, here's the thing. We've got interest rates going up and the yield curve uninverting. And some people, I haven't seen a ton of information about the long end going upward, fears of inflation, but then on top of it, we've got a yield curve that is uninverting. Some people would probably say, well, that's that stagflation component. Very well could be. Where you get inflation and an economy that slows down. Now, none of these in history were the same setup. These coming back down in 91, 90, 91, this one here in 2000, this one here in 2007, and then the COVID crash. None of these were the same because we didn't uninvert the curve with an increasing interest rate on the long end. We had interest rates fall across the board, and the 2-year fell faster than the 10-year. But as we saw today, the 2-year was down about 1%, and the 10-year was up 1.15, creating the uninversion of this curve pretty large. And I think this is going to have an impact on the markets to some degree here in a negative way. Because everyone's looking at this saying, holy crap, we've got a potential slowdown here on our hands. And whenever this drops like a rock, that's generally when things occur. There's that rock drop. There's a rock drop there. Another rock drop here. that's in 2000. That's 9/11 there. And it's funny. What's real funny here? We have 9/11, right? Well, the bond market was selling off steeply in 2000, in the early 2000, 2001 era. And there's the big 9/11 event. So it's almost like everyone positions for it before that occurs, like they knew it was coming before it came. But if this starts to drop like a rock, that's when it's time to generally worry. Gold, you're up 40 or you're down $41 an ounce. And this is what's surprising. I mean, we had yields go up, but we had the yield curve uninvert like it did. Kind of interesting how gold's down 41 bucks an ounce during those market conditions. I just find this whole area over here kind of interesting with a big question mark. Like, what are they doing here to some degree? But it could pull back. Maybe we do have a slowdown in the system, and this is what it's sniffing out, some sort of problem. Silver down about 4%, but still above its support level. Still looking okay, but we do have a lot of selling pressure here today, down about 3.9%. Longer term, I think it looks fine. So when we look at this, we've got this, sideways action, a breakout to the upside. I still think we're going higher. So I think it looks good. And if there is a problem in the market, you could see something like that, where you get a dip, people run to safety, maybe that's the dollar, and maybe it's the 2-year yield, the short end of the curve that we're seeing. Platinum down $7 in this squeeze going on here right in the corner, right into the corner there. So that looks pretty juiced, pretty juiced up, and we'll see which way that breaks. You can see the falling wedge right into that support base, which is the longer term support base down here. Palladium down $20. We're at 909. We're back to that support level, like I thought we were going to get to, which was a guess. I mean, obviously, I don't know the future, but we're right on support. We'll see if that support holds. That support is a longer term. Now, here's my opinion. I think we go lower. I think we go lower. I think that we go actually down here. This is where I think we're going to end up eventually. Somewhere in like the $500 range, $600 range, something like that. And what generally happens is you get these kind of big moves lower. You come all the way down, and then you get this like last spike down like that before heading higher or basing. It kind of looks like this guy here. Kind of comes down, sits, and then it drops, and then you base out. So I think that's what's going to occur. I think the ratio is going to get cheaper against the other metals, and it's just out of favor. GDX down slightly, not as much as yesterday, but we still have this big pattern there where the potential move could be something like that. I think it's going to come back to support, and I'll leave that there. GDXJ doing something very similar, so I do think there's more downside here, unfortunately, in GDXJ. Something on the lines of that, somewhere in this region down there. And then SILJ also selling off, and I do think there could be more downside in SILJ in the short term. XAU to gold, we are coming back to the full support region, and we are real weak here. We're back to all this support, so we'll see if the support holds. Gold and silver mining companies divided by gold, that's what we're looking at here. And we got support coming across here as well. We can do it like that. We're right on top of it. Crude oil down slightly, down about 1.3%. I still think this looks fantastic. There's no big selling pressure, at least not yet, to worry me. Now, that could change. Not saying I know the future here, but it looks to me that we've got some sort of squeeze going on here. We could maybe draw it like this or something. And maybe we can break out of that downtrend there at any point. Now, if there is a slowdown in the market, and let's say that yield curve is correct, I doubt that oil is just going to rip. We could trade sideways to slightly lower as this yield curve uninverts. If we get a slowdown and all of that stuff, obviously crude oil could very well head lower. But at this exact moment, it's holding on, and I don't see a ton of selling pressure here. So it's just holding on. TTF gas up 6%, looks real strong, bouncing off this support trend line that I've got for TTF, and that looks good to go higher. Good momentum shot here. Natural gas in America looking fantastic, breaking out of this resistance area there, working its way on up. So that was up 7.77%. We've got Boeing 777 today. Takeoff in progress. And we'll see how high it goes. We'll see how high it goes. Our boy XOP, yeah, you know me. Oil equities just not looking strong, guys. Continuing to sell off here ever since this breakout. Since the breakout, it's been down, 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 down. We need to write really bad about it in history or something. But oil doesn't look that bad, but the equities have definitely been selling off. Maybe it's contained to December, where people are selling something or offsetting something with taxes. I don't know. But because on the year, I'll be down on the year. Well, it's slightly down on the year. This was the where we started. And then OIH also down a little bit today, down about 1%. And again, ever since there, it's been nothing but red and very bloody is what I'll call it. Bloody December trading. Newcastle coal futures down a little bit, 0.66%. We are pulling on back. That does have a little bit of momentum, but we are still above support of this big guy here. So we'll probably come back and tag that support region there. Maybe we put in a double bottom. Double bottom would look something like this. Profits Uranium Trust down 2.7% or so. We're still within the pattern, but we've got some downside momentum in the short term for the Profits Uranium Trust. We still have the big flag pattern flapping in the wind. So, got the flag pattern. It's still bullish. We're still within the pattern. Uranium futures pricing just chopping sideways in the big flag. That's also a huge flag, guys. Looks all right. We've got URA up a little bit. The momentum is still down, though, guys. This has not turned. Still down, hasn't turned. It's up 0.9%. We've got support here at 27 bucks. Uranium also trying to turn. The momentum is still down. We'll see if it can do something here. And URNJ at 19 bucks. Give me one last flash down here so I can buy some. I'll take it. Copper down 1.8%, right at support. We'll see if this thing rolls on over. Now, if this does, and if we see the 2-year yield dropping like it is, you're probably going to get a slowdown in the market. So that is something that we will talk about during this weekend, during the question and answer session. COPX down, or we're up 0.24%, but the momentum is still to the downside for COPX. We've got iron ore tracking sideways, looking okay, not huge selling pressure. We've got aluminum down 0.5%. It's just slowly leaking off, still within this channel there. We've got nickel down slightly. Again, this is looking a little bit more bearish as time goes on, as we continue to sell off for nickel. Mu down 0.8%. We're back within the pattern. Anything commodity related, it's been getting some selling pressure. So we're back within this bigger pattern here, and that's where we reside. We had a nice little move going on up, but rates going up and the market with the 2-year going down, I think the market's trying to price in a potential slowdown or something going on. But we'll see after December too, for tax loss purposes perhaps. Emerging markets up slightly, even though we had a stronger dollar. So we were just up slightly, but the momentum is still to the downside. If rates continue to increase and the dollar continues to increase, there's going to be pressure on anything that has anything outside of dollars. KRE down 0.88, right at support. We've got TAN down 2.9. And again, these are these interest rate dollar sensitive sectors that are getting hit further downside. We've got lithium down slightly. It's holding on though, right where it's at, but still momentum to the downside is possible. REMX down 0.52%, momentum lower for REMX. Baltic Dry Index down 2.3%. Down. We've got XHB down 2% as well. This is looking pretty weak here. And things are looking and shaping up for a potential slowdown is what I am seeing. We've got Russell 2000 down about 0.5%, still momentum to the downside. The S&P 500, this big selling pressure day with a small candlestick next to it, is an inverted bloody nose, downside. NASDAQ, the same exact thing, big selling pressure, bearish engulfing, small little bounce, downside. The SMCI, downside, and it's chopping sideways from a pretty big move lower. We've got NVIDIA up 1.3%, but the momentum is still to the downside here. Bitcoin finally selling off some, down to about 97. We're still above support, but we're seeing a lot of weakness in the S&P. We're seeing a lot of weakness in the NASDAQ. So I would suspect that Bitcoin's probably going to come under pressure here. Ethereum also selling off almost 6%, but we're still above support. Will support hold? One thing that we could see is maybe a couple of up candlesticks that are small, and then it gets hit again to the downside. That could be something that we could see over the next few trading sessions. MicroStrategy selling off about 6.6%. This does look like a topping pattern to me now as we break down from that hysteria. But I'll say it, in the VIX, down a little bit today, down 12.8%, cooling off from yesterday's massive selling. So that's what I've got for today, guys. Give me a thumb up for the content, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the website. If you like, we do have that discount coupon code, which is discount. If you'd like to join, we can talk about the potential selling pressure that we're seeing across the board here. A lot of these different areas and what we're seeing in yields, yield curve, and maybe compare this to some other times in history as well, and look at maybe the 1970s and stuff like that. And I can show you guys the comparisons there as well. But that's what I've got for today. We'll catch you next time. This is Finding Value.